E.N.D here. With the release of Dominaria United scheduled in the first week of September, standard rotation will kick in and 4 sets will rotate out. Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, Strixhaven School of Mages, and Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. For months, these 4 sets shaped the standard meta, and no one can argue how strong certain cards were. But which are the top 10 cards that we will not miss? Obviously here I'm going to discuss cards that were, let's say, irritating because of their abilities but heavily played in top tier decks, and whenever these spells were casted or played made us exclaim extremely bad curses to our opponents, and sometimes even what I consider the most honorable move. Just concede. On the other hand, I do recognize that these cards in standard were very strong, but now they are gone and surely will not be missed. Let's start. And I want to start with some honorable mentions. Snowlands. We had to wait nearly 15 years for snow permanents to appear again in standard. The last standard legal set featuring snow permanents prior Kaldheim was Cold Snap, released in July 2006. Snowlands, especially basic Snowlands, became instantly popular. On their own, they are not that much powerful, they are just basic lands covered in snow. But because to play certain snow spells you need snow mana, then these lands became very effective in the right decks with the right spells. Especially if you were running Faceless Haven, found in nearly every deck prior the ban, just 3 snow mana and you had a changeling creature. How many imprecations were thrown towards the snowland when given the Book of Exalted Deeds aligned encounter? Pathways. Zendikar has always been synonymous with exceptional lands, and Zendikar Rising didn't disappoint us, giving us the Pathways, the modal double-faced dual lands, which allows you to choose which of the 2 sides you want to put in play. 6 Pathways were released in Zendikar Rising, and the remaining 4 to close the cycle were released in Kaldheim. Considering their ductility, they became very popular and extremely played. Every multicolor deck out there had Pathways. Omnath Locus of Creation, the 4-color Omnath. Why on earth do you release a creature meant for the Commander format in Standard? From day one that Omnath was spoiled, it was obvious that this creature was not meant for Standard, but for Commander. In Standard, Omnath Locus of Creation found fertile ground because you can have more than 1 copy of the same spell, and after a couple of weeks from its release, it was banned. No doubt how dominating those decks were in that short period of time. In 10th position, Scute Swarm. I know, not that much of a dominating creature, but this is the creature that crashed Magic Arena. How many copies of Scute Swarm can Magic Arena handle? I believe this question should have been asked prior designing a such spell. If it was not catered for as soon as it hits the battlefield, Scute Swarm would start to multiply exponentially, so much that Magic Arena couldn't handle as such load and crashed. At least later, when it was evident that the game couldn't handle so much token creation, some changes were deployed. In 9th position, Thibault's Trickery and Common Cosmos Serpent. When Thibault's Trickery was spoiled, an extremely rare case of a red counterspell, it became immediately very popular not to counter your opponent's spells but your own and take advantage of its second ability. Thanks to this red counterspell and a 0 casting spell like Tormod Script, you could put in play certain very powerful creatures or planeswalkers on the battlefield as early as turn 2. After the rotation of Ugin the Spirit Dragon, the most popular combination was with Koma Cosmos Serpent, and once Koma was on the battlefield, it was nearly impossible to win. It could gain indestructible, tap your creatures, and swing for lethal. In 8th position, the mill creatures: Runecrab, Merfolk Windrobber, and Soaring Thought Thief. Before the 2021 rotation, mill decks were one of the most powerful and effective decks. If played correctly and thanks to a certain number of counters or removal spells, and especially these 3 creatures, any deck could be easily milled in a couple of turns, especially when you had 2, 3 or even 4 Rune Crabs in play at the same time and you just play an Evolving Wilds. In 7th position, the 1-drop removals: Frostbite, Blizzard Brawl, Portable Hole and Blood Chief's Thirst. How many creatures were killed or removed thanks to these 1-drop spells? These 4 spells were very cheap to cast, just 1 mana, and very efficient in their job of removing an early threat or that dangerous low casting creature. Thanks to their low casting cost and efficiency, these 4 removal spells could be found in any deck running those particular colors. In 6th position, the mono black sacrifice spells: Eye Twitch, Shambling Gust and Deadly Dispute. Deadly Dispute is without any doubt one of the best recent common spells ever printed. When played correctly, especially with Eye Twitch and Shambling Gust, it gave the player an important advantage. Why? Because first of all, you'll draw 2 cards, create a treasure, then in case of Eye Twitch, you will learn and retrieve a needed spell, while in case of Shambling Gust, you can kill a creature or add another treasure token. The combination of these 3 spells in the early stage of the game was very deadly. In 5th position, the mono green spells: Ezika's Chariot, Ranger Class and Werewolf Pack Leader. There was a time that mono green decks started to dominate Standard. Those decks were fast and could manage to play brick creatures at an early stage of the game. The most popular spells were Ezika's Chariot, one of the most effective vehicles in Magic the Gathering. It could create a token of any type, including Obnixlis the adversary. On the other hand, Ranger Class could pump an attacking creature and could easily aid playing more creatures when leveled up. Werewolf Pack Leader, one of the best 2-drop out there, it helps you draw more cards and why not swing for lethal thanks to its 2nd ability. In 4th position, the Izzet spells: Saw It Coming and Expressive Iteration. These 2 particular Izzet color spells were normally found in the Izzet Dragons deck. It became the most popular and powerful deck in Standard. Saw It Coming, it's in its name, and you probably really saw that counter coming to your face. When a spell in those decks was foretold, it was an obvious saw it coming, and players would start to stress out in playing certain winning conditions. On the other hand, Expressive Iteration, the most expensive uncommon card from Strixhaven, was the perfect spell in those 2 color combination to dig in your library that much needed cards. No wonder it was banned in Pioneer. In 3rd position, the mono white aggro: Luminarch Aspirant, Skyclave Apparition and Elite Spellbinder. These 3 creatures are the reason why mono white aggro became very powerful and extremely played in Standard. Luminarch Aspirant would start to pump your creatures at an early stage. Skyclave Apparition served both as a removal spell targeting any 4-drop non-land, non-token permanent and as a creature, while Paulo Vitor da Mutarosa, the 26th World Champion Elite Spellbinder, could easily slow down your winning condition. At last, we can say bye-bye mono white. In 2nd position, the Goldspan Dragon. And while we're talking about the Izzet Dragons deck, the most powerful and played deck in Standard, another very important piece in those decks was the Goldspan Dragon. In my opinion, one of the biggest surprises that came out from Kaldheim. Initially, and surprisingly enough, it didn't have a good reception. Probably because no one understood how strong this dragon could be. But after some weeks from its release, everyone started to add it in their decks. It could easily swing for combat thanks to its haste ability. It was an essential for ramping thanks to its treasure token creation and could defend itself if targeted. It was one of those creatures that if you didn't deal with as soon as it hits the battlefield, it was very difficult to win against. And finally, we are here. And in 1st position, let's do a drum roll. Alrund's Epiphany. how many extra turns did the spell give to players? When Alrund Epiphany was casted, and don't forget, it could be casted from exile thanks to its Fortell ability, it was only a one-way play. Your opponents. Sometimes you just end up sitting there watching your opponent play spells turn after turn after turn after turn. I encountered players that managed to get even 3-4 plus turns in a row until you just say, okay, you win, and press the concede button. My biggest achievement was when I managed to survive and win against 3 Alrund's Epiphany in a row. No wonder it was eventually banned after I don't know how many complaints. So these are my top 10 cards that I will not miss from this rotation. Leave a comment below which card or cards you will not miss. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.